Which MacBook to buy in 2022? The MacBook Air has once again become Apple's most important computer. The laptop, released 14 years ago, has regained its big name with the release of the MacBook Air M1.
This is the new MacBook Air.
Has it become easier to choose a Mac? No, it has become harder. No one could have imagined that Apple would start releasing updates to its processor at such a speed, when it seems that the previous M1 processor were still relevant. Have you ever tried to buy a MacBook from Apple.com? This process turns into a kind of game, into a quest. And sometimes I feel like I'm not choosing a laptop but buying plane tickets.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
Same here, you choose the most affordable MacBook Air on the market, then you have to decide which processor you want, M1 or M2, more graphic cores or standard configuration, how much RAM will be enough, 8 or 16 gigabytes, what kind of drive should I get, 200s, 500s or 1 terabyte. Today we will answer these questions and compare Apple's main laptop with its own counterpart. The MacBook Air M1 is very different from the Air M2. It's eye-catching. The design of the last laptop is an old concept, so it gave the impression that his laptop is very thin. But it really is the best laptop in terms of size-performance ratio. Rumor has it that in 2023 Apple plans to release a 15-inch MacBook Air for the first time in its history. And if that's true, I won't forgive them, because that's exactly the kind of laptop I need right here and right now. The price difference. Choosing a MacBook Air is always a compromise. More often than not, these laptops are chosen in attempt to save money. The MacBook Air M2 is a clever attempt by Apple to increase its profits. The classic MacBook Air M1 remains on sale for $1,000. The beautiful new Air M2 cost $1,200. Only $200 difference and you own a new MacBook, an even more powerful processor, a bigger screen, better sound and Full HD FaceTime camera and beautiful design. Do you feel sorry for $200? We're talking about a laptop with an 8 GB of RAM configuration, like a modern Android smartphone. This is the ideal laptop for SMM professionals, advertising managers, journalists and anyone who works a lot with text, social media and sometimes photos. This laptop can easily handle projects in Photoshop and editing lightweight videos for the same social networks: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. But if you need a laptop to start working in a more serious production, creating your own videos, content for YouTube for example, or take orders on the freelance and edit large videos in 4K or test heavy project without 16 GB of RAM is not a way to do, and your SSD must be 500, not less. See the difference in price. That $200 difference can be spent on extra 500 GB of SSD in the MacBook Air M1 version. And you'll have a MacBook Air in a 16 GB of RAM and 1 TB configuration for $1,600. Putting aside the aesthetics part of the question and delving into processing power, is it worth chasing the M2 processor, and will the user feel a significant difference? Today's Mac software falls into 3 categories: third-party apps developed specifically for the Mac, and apps created by Apple. An example of third-party apps: Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, applications that are created for all platforms, which is why they are loved. In such application, it's impossible to achieve better results by trivial increase in CPU power. If there was no optimization, you won't get the performance boost that Apple says. Pixelmator Pro is a Photoshop-like app, not as functional of course, but it works for most tasks. This kind of software on the Mac works 10 times better and faster than any third-party apps. Even on the M1 processor, this kind of software was already working great, so it's hard to imagine any improvement at all. And finally, Apple's native apps like Final Cut Pro for video editing. This is the area where you can get the most out of the updated M2 processor. Finally, I would invest in a MacBook Air M1 with a big SSD. Trust my experience, MacBooks are always short on free memory. It's not a Windows laptop where they can give you 1 TB of free space all the time. If $300 or $400 for you is not essential when choosing a laptop that will be with you for the last 5 years, then of course you should take a brand new MacBook Air M2 and enjoy working with this great laptop. Guys, thanks for watching, subscribe to channel if you're not, next video will be soon. Goodbye.